despite being a weird bug is kind of hot. No? Whatever. I'm weird. Ignore me. Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina, and today I'm doing a one-off book review of The Galaxy and the Ground Within by Becky Chambers. So this is Wayfarers number 4. It was published this month in 2021. It's a science fiction. I actually read this novel as part of Intergalactic Book Club. I've included the link to the Discord channel below. I joined it last month and everyone is super cool and very nice, and it's a lot of fun if you like talking about sci-fi topics. And not just books, like there's movie talk, stuff like that too. And everyone's so nice and I'm very happy that they let me in. So I got this book from Amazon, and because I caved and I spent $17 on the ebook. $17? Who decided that that was a good price for an ebook? I mean, I guess I paid it, but I mean, if I could get it for paperback for $21, which I couldn't because it was only released in the UK, I would have done that instead. But I'm still mad about this $17 for an ebook thing. I read it on my Kindle Fire. So, what is this novel about? If you've read the first 3, you'll know kind of what you're getting into. You'll know her style and kind of what she focuses on, her themes. It's very similar. So this is my second favorite of the series. So it's an absorbing and optimistic exploration into family, culture, and the assumptions that we all make about one another. And it's about aliens. It's all aliens. This is my type of novel. There's no, pretty much, I think there's one human in it, other than like a few references to some of them. The story is very simple. So you have 3 aliens that are trapped at an intergalactic rest stop when the satellite array above the planet gets damaged and they have to wait for it to be repaired. So there's no like big conflict, there's no kind of war or danger, things like that. They're just unable to take off from the planet and they're forced to mingle with one another to pass the time. So this seems like kind of a mundane premise for a book, as it's something that pretty much anyone who's traveled has probably endured this. I mean, I've endured this at airports before. But I would argue that it's kind of like the perfect place for this type of story. Because gas stations and rest stops and airports are like liminal transitory places, you know, where you don't expect to make lasting memories, you know, let alone any connection with anybody. To set a story, you know, in such a place already gives the characters kind of a sense of security. It's a place where they can feel calm and relaxed because it's like a stopping ground. No one's expecting anything of them. And you also don't expect anything of interest to happen in these places because they're designed to be accommodating and not permanent. I mean, I could talk about liminal spaces all day. I very much enjoy that concept, so I'm going to stop. But I really like the setting that this took place in. So it's an extremely character-driven novel, just like the other ones, the others in the series. So The Galaxy and the Ground Within really revitalized my opinion on Wayfarers, actually. I was dissatisfied with the third one quite a lot, and I only found one half of the second one to be engaging. But the first one, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, is one of my favorite novels. I have it up there in my actually, I have all of them up there in my collection. I should have brought them down for this, but whatever. So I love reading novels about alien species and their cultures. If the job existed, I would be a xenoanthropologist, 100%. Like, if that was a real thing, that would be my job. I would love that. The entire novel is just like an exploration into 4 different alien cultures as seen by 4 outcasts from those cultures. Or not so much outcasts, but people kind of who have had exposure to something other than their culture. So they're able to reflect on it. It's very interesting. Okay, so here come the characters. I'm not going to get into like what the species are called and all of the details about it because that's just way too much. You can read that from the book, but I'll just give you the basics. So you have Ulu is this like lanky, fur-covered proprietor of this rest stop. She's chosen to live on this barren rock called Gora with her teenaged kind of child named Tupo. We have Roveg, who's an insectoid alien. He's in exile from his planet. There's Pi, or P, I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's Pi. Or Pei, maybe? Like May? It's P-E-I. Anyway, whatever. Let's call her Pei. Who featured in The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, who's an upstating citizen of her people, but she has a secret affair going on with a human. And then there's Speaker, who's this kind of bird-like alien, I guess, who lives in a mech suit, who's treated like a criminal by the other ones due to assumptions and stereotypes about her people. So those are the people. So the novel brings these characters together in a way that allows them to grow and learn and self-reflect. It's like a quiet, kind of calm novel that is at the same time very fascinating. As I mentioned before, you know, I love alien culture novels. Alan Dean Foster's Commonwealth books, for example, are one of my favorites, as well as Tanya Huff's Confederation series. If this concept of alien races that are very fleshed out and very, you know, they have a lot of detail to the creation of their culture is of interest to you, and if you like slice of life stories, you will really enjoy this one. I mean, all the characters in this book are awesome. I loved all of them. I really liked Pei, but the new ones were endearing and enjoyable in their own way. And like Roveg, despite being a weird bug, is kind of hot. No? Whatever. I'm weird. Ignore me. So if you're looking for like a galactic war type of novel, or even one with any sort of kind of action in it, or any kind of real like mystery or intrigue, this is not that. This is very much a character study novel. But it's really fascinating, and you know, it's an exploration into assumptions, prejudice, and friendship. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. It loses a few points for me for lack of kind of the pew 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 aspect of sci-fi that I really enjoy, but the characters, the writing, you know, its readability, the setting, they're all so well done and so amazing. So there's a couple things I just wanted to mention, but they're spoilers. So I'm just gonna do a bit of a spoiler take here, you know, jump to this spot to skip them. So the one thing I really want to talk about, because I found it super interesting and very poignant and important, was how Pai's pregnancy was approached. It read to me as a very, very pro-choice argument, which I'm all about. Pai does not want to shimmer, despite how amazing women are treated during the process. I mean, take a hint, humans. Like, at least give women proper maternity leave. You know, I'm lucky I live in Canada, but, you know, what happens in the US and other countries makes me sick. Oh my God. And the fact that the people in the US have to pay to give birth, like, oh my God. Anyway, Pai gives all of these reasons not to fertilize the egg that has started naturally developing within her. I'm not going to get into the biology of it, because if you're listening to this, you've probably read the book, or you have no interest in reading the book, so you don't really care. I don't know why you're watching the spoilers. But anyway, so Pai gives all these reasons not to fertilize her egg, ending with, you know, there's no reason not to. And then Speaker replies, of course there is, you don't want to. And later she says, and when it comes to a person's body, that is all the reason there ever needs to be. This should be true for everyone who gets pregnant, alien or not. I loved how Pai ended up not going forward with it. I mean, had she, it would have been fine. It would have been her choice. But I think it would have lessened the message that I think was trying to be made. A very pro-choice message that I very much approve of. And if you're going to go off on me in the comments about abortion, I'm just not going to reply, because, no. Sorry. Abortion is healthcare. Also related to this, but not really, I guess so early that she was going to be pregnant. I don't know, for some reason. The first time she felt a little off, I was like, she preggo. She's definitely preggo. I know she is for sure. I have a lot of friends that are pregnant right now, and yeah, so maybe that's why it's on my radar. I'm just like, are you trying for number 3 or not? Oh, and I love Tupou's Rock Collection Museum. That was amazing. That was so cute. Oh my God, I almost died. Okay, so that's it for spoilers, and that's it for this review. Okay, just because it's fun, I'm going to talk about the other 3 books just really briefly. So my favorite book of them all is A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I was obsessed with this book when it first came out. I mean, I've only read it once, but I remember it so well, and I want to read it again. I got it in 2016, and yeah, so I adored it. Like, I gave it 5 stars. Yeah, and then you get Closing Common Orbit. This is the one that has the 2 stories, the one about the AI who's transferred into like a human mech body, I believe, and that young girl who's trapped on like a salvage world, and how they both have to kind of come into their humanity on their own. I remember thinking the AI story was kind of boring, and I think I found her whiny and kind of irritating. But I really, really liked the story about the girl stuck on the planet. But I think what annoyed me about this novel was that we know that the girl from the planet survives from the start, because she features in the AI's story, which is later in time. So I think that removed a lot of the tension for me. But I did really like her kind of survivalism aspect. I mean, I would read this again, but I think I would just read the part about the girl stuck in the salvage yard. And then we have Record of a Spaceborne Few. So it has the best cover, but I found it quite bland. I found it a little boring, because I mean, people living in a fleet wasn't anything new to me because I've read that in other science fiction books, but also Mass Effect has the Quarians who are doing the same thing. And I guess my issue is that I found that it was a bit too optimistic. Here's our kind of like utopian life living in this like functioning insular community, but there's no kind of real, there's minor differing of opinion, but there's no real, the kind of clash that I would expect from a bunch of humans kind of stuck on the same place at the same time, especially during kind of a, not a crisis, but like a shift in their society. I just didn't find it as realistic. And I guess the thing is, like, would you rather live in like this kind of safe bubble place, or would you rather live in this dangerous, exciting universe? And for me, I'd much rather live in the dangerous, exciting universe and read stories about that than read about a bunch of humans on a ship. And I didn't even like most of the humans. I found them very boring. So I guess, I mean, I think I gave this book 2 stars. I gave Close and Common Orbit 3.5. I think it would have been 4 if I hadn't found the AI so annoying. And then I gave this one 2, but then I gave, you know, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet 5, and I gave the one I just read 5. So as a series, I guess I give the series overall like a 4. I will definitely read the first one and the fourth one again. I might read the second one again. I probably won't ever read the third one again, but I will keep it because I like having all the set. If you want to throw me a comment about what your favorite book was, if you want to disagree with me about the 2 that I didn't really like, that's fine. You know, I totally get it. Okay, so I'm going to do a pitch now. I don't usually do this, and I promise like this won't be a common thing. But because this novel is so... This novel specifically was an inspiration of mine, along with the other ones I mentioned earlier in my review, for my upcoming trilogy that I'm writing. So I've got 4 chapters left to write of the final volume. There's obviously 3 because it's a trilogy, and if you like aliens, alien cultures, and interesting kind of characteristics, a bunch of humans and aliens having to work together, if you like a bit of a forbidden romance between alien species, if you like a team that's forced to work together that's antagonistic at first but becomes, you know, found family, there's some of that. If you like galactic war and space battles, if you like a little smattering of horror, that's in there too. If you like banter, basically I wrote a trilogy of what I wanted to read. If this sounds of interest to you, I would love a beta reader. I would need a beta reader in a couple of months probably, so if this is interest of you, throw me a comment or a private message or email me and I will pay you to be a beta reader if you read a lot of sci-fi and would be willing to give my first book a bit of an opinion. I'm also going to be looking for a sensitivity reader, but all of that will be on my website. If you know, don't want to forget about this, you can go to my website and you can join my mailing list. I don't send out stuff very often. It's like every like 3 months. But I'll have a newsletter, in my newsletter there, I'll be calling out for beta readers if you want a reminder. Anyway, I promise I won't pitch this stuff all the time. This is probably one of the only times I'll ever mention it. But yeah, so thanks.